I've lived in New Jersey my entire life, and I know lots of interesting people. Artists, musicians, actors, business owners, and politicians. So my goal is to introduce some of the most interesting people who have ties to New Jersey. Either they live here, they work here, they went to school here, whatever tie I can think of. And yeah, maybe they're not so famous, even in New Jersey. But I'm going to change that because I'm Lucille Losapio, and this is Not So Famous in New Jersey. When I was in high school, my brother Mario was 3 years older than me, and he always brought his friends home with him. I always got crushes. And one of the guys that I had a crush on was Jimmy Kelly. And today, I am interviewing Jimmy because he's quite a good author. Hello, Jimmy.
Hi, good morning.
We're going to dive right in. And
by the way, I'm interested in the crush thing.
okay, we'll talk about that off mic. In your book...
Well, for benefit of you and your audience, I'm the author of 4 novels and 2 professional books. They're nonfiction, but of course the novels are fiction.
The novel, the most recent one, I think this is the first that's not like a young adult novel. Is that correct?
There were 2 that were young adult. My first adult novel was about a wise-ass attorney.
And when we say adult, we don't mean X-rated.
No, we do not mean that. The latest one is called Crover Island.
And Crover Island, there's a lot of weather information, hurricanes.
Well, it starts off with a storm of the century that becomes a key character of the story.
So how much research did you need to do, or were you already familiar with marine life and the like?
No, I had to do research.
What made you decide to use that as a backdrop for the novel?
Just a feeling, just a sense, and something that kind of gave some life to the story. I was inspired by the weather on the day that I came up with the idea for the story. So that certainly helped. Now,
I've done a bit of writing myself. Of course, you base a lot on your own life, but I always think people are going to know I'm writing about them.
Mm-hmm.
I always feel that that's sort of a challenge that you have. So when you create characters, you're basing them on people that you know. How often do friends and family accuse you of basing a character on them?
My brother Michael. Whenever I need a crazy character, he steps up to the plate.
So has anyone else said to you, "Oh, I know that's me," and you're like, "No, it's not"?
No, it really hasn't been like that. My characters have been very different than family members, although they're mostly characters as well.
In this book, you use the power of the Lord, one of the themes of the book. Is that a particular message that you were trying to convey?
No, not at all. That, in fact, was just a lot of background for one of the essential characters in the book. He was a reverend.
The minister, yeah.
The minister. He sounds a little batty at first in the beginning, but then he comes around and it becomes a very different individual.
Have you dealt with batty ministers in your life?
Not often. You mentioned before something about the weather, and I just had an interesting story about that. My wife and I took a walk up to the beachfront, and it was cloudy, it was gray, it was, New Jersey weather.
Mm-hmm.
And I left my phone back at the house, and I said to her, "Would you mind go get it?" She went home and got my phone and brought it back. I said, "We've got to go back. We've got to go back home. I've just got a mental blast for a story based on the weather." While she was gone, the fog rolled in right to the lip of the beach. All I could see in my mind's eye was, coming out of the fog, these creatures.
Ooh.
And that was it. That's all I got. But it was enough to start this novel. Where the weather was a key component. And the research you mentioned, we were down in Florida. I reached out to the head of WABC weather in Sarasota, and he agreed to take a look at it and give me some pointers on the weather.
Your work in education was where?
That was in North Jersey, and I finished my career there in Chatham, New Jersey, as a school principal. Was hired to open up the school.
So what teachers did you try to emulate?
I had a favorite teacher here in Keyport where I went to high school. That was John Cruz.
Oh, me too.
Yeah, a good guy.
I used to stay after. I hated going home because my father was such a grump. And my father would get home from work at 3 in the afternoon. I'm like, I'm not going home. So I used to stay and help Mr. Cruz grade papers.
He was, of course, your brother's and my basketball coach,
right.
And just a wonderful human being. Unfortunately, died a year or so ago.
Yeah, I read about that. That was unfortunate. I really would have liked to have seen him again.
I did. I made a point of going up to his house up in northern New Jersey.
Both of us come from a large family. I think yours is a little larger than mine.
Yes, we grew up in a family of 10. Which sizable.
I just had 8, so we were, a small family.
Mm-hmm.
But we always had someone living in our house, so that made us at least 9.
Yeah. We're down to 8 now.
Yeah. Did having a large family what kind of impact did it have on your life decisions?
You got used to not having much, for one thing, but you learned to take things with a grain of salt. You didn't get riled up over the small stuff.
Yeah.
Because you couldn't.
Last week I went to Stop and Shop, and I bought groceries and brought it to the food bank. And when I was doing the shopping, I'm going, this is the kind of stuff I would have liked, because we never had extra stuff in our house.
No.
It was like, if my mother made pork chops, you got a pork chop for dinner.
Oh, for sure.
And if you didn't want that pork chop, you're just out of luck.
Yeah, go make yourself a peanut butter sandwich, because that's all
if there was
got.
any peanut butter. Yeah.
Right.
We also only had 2 things to drink in the house: milk and water.
Oh, yeah.
We had Tang,
Forget
but
soda.
that was just for breakfast.
You got Tang?
Yeah, we only had 8 people in our family, so we were like kind of upper class. Do you think we have free will, or do you think that our lives are predetermined?
Well, now that's a switch. Topic. Yeah, I do. I don't believe that our lives are predetermined. No, I do believe we have freedom of choice. Maybe not in circumstances. Sometimes things happen, but you do have a choice how you respond to it.
If your life is predetermined, if everything is predetermined, then it doesn't matter what you do.
Right.
I always say when people say, everything happens for a reason, and you slap them. And you go, well, there must have been a reason.
Well, as you know, I had a very serious accident years ago. And I had someone come in to say to me while I was in the hospital, because I was paralyzed at the time and I couldn't move. And she just leaned over and said, "Thank God, God was with you." And I said, "Really?" He could have steered me a little bit to the left, because I might have avoided all this.
Wait, when was this? When was the accident?
1987.
And
I had a spinal cord injury as a result of body surfing down at Seaside Heights.
You're kidding.
Nah. Makes me like Seaside Heights even less.
Yeah, right. Going back to the book, Crover Island, the beginning, to me, feels a lot like a Michener book. Did his writing have any impact on how you wrote that?
Hadn't thought about him, but no. In fact, one of the reviews, if I can share that with you.
Please.
Well, this guy, who's a writer, wrote, reminiscent of the action-packed essential thrillers of Crichton and King. Kelly's Crover Island is an immersive read with characters people can believe in, cheer for, and sometimes cry for as well. As intense and relenting as the storm in the book, the propulsive plot will leave those same readers breathless until the very last page, and maybe even beyond that.
Well, that was nice.
So, Michener, no.
Yeah. It's just, because Michener books, he always starts like, there's a grain of sand, and then it becomes a beach, then it becomes,
Then it becomes 1,000 pages.
Right, yeah. Yours was moved a little faster than Michener.
Yeah.
But are there other authors who have influenced you?
Yes. Stephen King, for one. Crichton, for another, as he mentions. Eric Guinard is another author out in California.
Before I forget, where can people buy your books?
Through my website, jmkellyauthor.com, and also on Amazon. And if you don't like using Amazon, and some people don't,
I don't anymore.
You can go to any bookstore, and they're not going to have them on the shelf, but they will order them for you.
Do you find yourself copying the styles of any of these authors?
That's a good question. You always run that risk of copying versus walking a fine line of respecting. So you've got to be very careful about crossing that line. And I think I have been. It doesn't
Other
mean...
than Michener, of course.
Yeah, other than him. But Stephen King, what I like about his work, and I don't like all of his work, but one of the things that I liked about his work, I read a book of his called On Writing, and he goes about explaining what he does.
His process.
And when I first started writing, I went through this, what I thought I had to do, which was create an outline, a really huge outline, and then go about putting it all together. I know Patterson does that.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it. I found I was losing a lot of the thought process that was leading me from point A to point B.
Yeah.
So what I did was what Stephen King did, because I had read his book. He just lets his characters tell him where to go. He lets his characters lead him in a direction. And I write more in a linear approach as opposed to...
Like flashbacks.
Yeah. Although, if I find that a flashback is needed, I'll add that in because it helps give background story and whatever.
I love to write, and I've written a lot of short stories. And I want to write a book. I want to write a novel, but I can't decide what it's... I mean, I have all these ideas. I have them saved in my phone. I have them saved in my phone. I have all this... But I don't know where to start. Any advice?
Yeah, start at the beginning. I know that sounds trite, but It was important for me to sit down and just let it flow. Think about it. Start with a character. Start with an event like the storm. See where that takes you.
Yeah, I think starting with an event might be a good place. Part of the problem is that I don't know which of these stories I should make into a book.
Right.
You know? It's easy for me to write short stories. In fact, I'm going to send you some to critique for me.
Excellent.
I used to belong to a writers group. Every year we would invite a published author to come and critique some of our work, sort of a workshop. This particular workshop, we talked a lot about character. On the way home, I'm like, oh, my sister's husband is a perfect character to write about. And I came up with the story on the way home. It's her ex-husband. And but that was so easy for me to start with the character.
Well, one of my novels, Tommy Ailes, is a wise-ass attorney. I started that novel, and it was called Good for What Ails You. He gets involved with the Florida mafia, Colombian drug lord, a bimbo accused of killing her socialite husband, all to the backdrop of the Sarasota Film Festival. The event that I started with was him in court and the phrase, all rise, which I thought was a good opening. But I've had two different editors on that book tell me the same thing independently, which is, I don't like where it starts.
Ooh.
I think you should start it with the murder.
Yeah.
And being a little egotistical in my writing, I decided, no.
I'm doing it my way.
I'm doing it my way, until I heard the second person comment. They must be onto something. So I did, and I just put the other piece away, started on that, and let that guide me where I'm going with this. And I love it. I love where it starts. I love how it leads me in a direction. They knew more than I did at that point.
I've actually thought about, because I love reading about serial killers.
You got an odd hobby.
Real serial killers, not fictional ones. There's a really horrible one from New Jersey, Joseph Callinger.
Oh, I don't remember that name.
Oh.
You know, you like that stuff?
You know why? It's sort of like, I feel like it prepares me to look out for certain kinds of people. You know, you meet somebody and you go, this is a potential serial killer.
Yeah, he's rubbing me wrong.
Yeah. He reminds me of Joseph Callinger or whatever.
Now, I write horror.
Yeah.
And I love it. People don't understand that.
Remember when Tommy Malinowski got murdered?
Yes.
I thought about writing about that. Also, my sister Patrice's best friend, her younger brother was murdered.
Wow.
And he was a paper boy, and every week she had to go with him when he did collections. One week she didn't go, and that's when he got murdered.
Oh.
She ended up eventually committing suicide.
Oh, gosh.
So, I mean, that would be a really compelling story.
Yeah, you should try that.
Yeah, start with with his murder, I guess.
Yes.
Good idea.
Yeah.
I'll give you credit in my...
There you go.
Okay. Do you read a lot?
I do. I had an eye operation recently, so that's put me on the back burner for a bit.
So you can use Audible then? And
You know what? I haven't tried that.
yeah.
But I intend to.
And you mentioned like not liking all of Stephen King's work. Me too. I mean, some of his stuff I loved. I loved The Shining.
Oh, that was one of my favorites.
And I think Jack Nicholson destroyed
that's
the movie.
the first. We're in sync.
Right?
Yeah.
When
I hated the movie.
Yeah. You know, because The Exorcist, I wouldn't go to see that movie because...
That scared the hell out of me.
Right. And finally, after seeing all the different things, they show you pieces of it on television, finally I saw the movie, and it wasn't as scary as it was to everybody back then. But I kept saying, The Shining, this is the scariest book I've ever read.
That was the first King book I read.
Yeah. And then you see the movie, and you're like, he destroyed it.
Yeah.
Here's John. Like, no, that's not the character. He was so high on cocaine during that filming.
Is that right?
Yeah, he was really high on cocaine during that.
Well, you could tell.
Yeah. I mean, it was like, to me, it's like you just ruined what could have been an incredible
Right.
movie. And I'm not big into watching horror films.
Salem's Lot was another book of his that was one of my favorites.
And you know what book I think he really, I think it was It?
Yes,
He just got so in love with his words.
I agree.
Yeah, it was like, and part of it, and that's why he always narrates his own books. I think he just loves the sound of his own words.
Oh, does he?
Yeah, he does. I think a lot of them. Yeah, and I don't know if like authors still get paid by the word.
But he must have made a lot.
Yeah, I mean that book was like, come on, you're dragging this out. Like they're going through the desert and blah blah blah.
Oh, The Stand.
Oh, that was it. The Stand.
The
The Stand. That's the one I'm thinking. Now, the scariest part of that book was the Lincoln Tunnel.
Yes, agreed.
And every time I go through the tunnel, I think of that book.
Yep, me too.
Yeah. What do you think got you turned on to horror?
It's always been that case. I used to collect Famous Monsters magazines when I was a kid.
Who was your favorite monster?
Probably Dracula. I loved the old Dracula movies.
Dracula.
Universal Studios movies. Now they look kind of lame compared to modern day.
Yeah, it's funny how like you watch a movie. Do you remember The Crawling Eye?
Oh, God, yeah.
Of course, it was on the $1 Million Movie, so you watched it 5 times.
Right.
And I could never watch the first scene. So I was like, oh, I can't. And it's like you watch it now, and it's so funny.
Yep.
Or She-Demons. Do you remember that movie?
No, I missed that one.
Oh, it was this scientist, this mad scientist, who is in the jungles of Africa, and he's taking these women, and he's drawing the youth out of them and injecting it into his wife to keep her young.
Hey, neat idea.
Yeah, and then the women that he drew them, they become she-demons. They're like, you know, so... But my favorite, and if you like this movie, I will be so impressed. The Island of Lost Souls.
Oh, yeah. Good movie.
I love that movie.
If you were to ask me, what's your favorite horror movie ever? I would say The Thing from Another World with James Arness. It's like 1953, I think.
I always liked Invasion from Mars.
Oh, that was a good one.
Wasn't that a good one?
Yeah, that was a good one.
And they always remake them, and they never make them as good as the original.
Yeah.
That's like The Island of Lost Souls. You know, Lon Chaney.
They updated that with Marlon Brando.
And
I
it
think.
wasn't
Yeah,
half
it
as
wasn't.
good. You know, what is the law? Not
Yeah.
to eat meat. That is the law.
Are we not men?
Are we not men?
Man, you've been studying.
Yeah, I love that movie. So in this book,
Crover Island.
Crover Island.
Yes. Takes the place. This is great.
I'm gonna write
I
this
can see
down.
you've been studying.
Crover
Crover, Island.
Okay. Well,
Takes the place off of Scotland.
You change the point of view throughout the book. Do you always do that?
No, not always, but thanks for noticing. That is something that I think came out pretty well.
Yeah, because sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes it
doesn't work, and sometimes you lose your place, and sometimes you just don't carry through where you need to carry through. But I think that came out very well.
Yes. Now, I personally really like spy novels and like political intrigue.
Mm-hmm. I love spy novels too, a good one. And one of the first I ever read was by Robert Ludlum.
Oh, I love Robert Ludlum.
Yeah. And the book, of course, was The Bourne Identity.
Of course, yeah.
And the whole Bourne series, and that was really good.
I've read every one of those, yeah. He's a really good writer. Now, have you read John le Carre?
Oh, yeah. Love him.
You have to really pay attention.
You do?
Yeah. Now, what about, have you watched, why am I forgetting the name of the show? Oh, gee, I can't believe I don't remember the name of it. It takes place in London. It's basically about the group of people that worked for the spy services in England that screwed up. And they don't fire them.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And they send them to work in this section, like where they do literally nothing. It's the most boring job ever.
Something horse.
Oh God.
Stone horses.
No.
Oh, for God's sakes.
Not Cold Horses.
It's one of my favorite shows.
I can't believe I can't remember it.
I know, me too. It's catching.
Yeah. It's but that's a great, and I read the books. If you read the books, they're really good.
I have not read the books.
Yeah. If it's a well-written book, it doesn't matter if you know the story.
Right.
Because there's so much more depth to it in the writing. Same thing like Game of Thrones.
Oh, gosh.
I read those books.
My son read those books a couple of times.
Yeah. And the thing is, I was reading the books as I was watching the shows, and I understood the show much better from reading the book because there's so many characters, and you get so confused watching the show.
And you see a big difference there between book and movie. And rarely, I think, does a movie come out on top.
So let me ask you, have you ever made a decision that you regretted, even though it was the right one, such as the decision that Tim had to make in the book? So let's talk about what decision Tim had to make in your book, Crover Island.
Mm-hmm. Which decision? Elaborate.
Well, the really major decision wasn't it about killing someone?
Oh, no, he couldn't, well, you could have given me a heads up on that one.
You wrote the book.
I know, but you're so done when you're finished.
Well, let's put it this way: he had to do something that he regretted doing.
Yeah,
even
it was
though
a
he
mentor.
thought it was the right thing.
It was one of his mentors,
Right.
and he had to.
So, have you ever had to do that? Have you ever had to make a decision that it was the right decision, but you really felt really badly about it?
You're getting deep here.
Yeah.
I could phrase that a little differently, if you don't mind.
Sure. No.
The question I would ask of me, and aren't I good about that?
Please tell me how to do my job.
Yeah, no, it's one I can answer. The question I would ask is, have I regretted something happening to me or something I had to deal with to the point of allowing it to alter my behavior? And I would probably argue that everything affects your behavior, number one, to some degree, but it doesn't have to be negative. And I'm a firm believer in that when things happen to you, not that they happen for a reason, but if you allow it, it will direct you in a particular direction. And I'll just add my situation with being paralyzed. I can very easily become bitter about that. But I have to believe.
But you're not paralyzed now, just to make it clear.
Well, slightly.
Yeah. Some paralysis.
Yeah. Not initially when it was total. But I do believe that whatever happens to you leads you in a direction that adds to your life, not takes away from it. I don't know if my wife and I would be in the same position, for example, in terms of our relationship, if
that hadn't happened.
Yeah. Your life would be totally different.
And I say that to people, and I should have done this. I go, are you happy with your life now?
Yeah.
Well, then if you had done that, your life would be completely different.
Yeah. For sure.
My husband's a musician, Gary, and he regrets that he didn't go to Berklee School of Music, and he regrets that he didn't move to L.A. And I said, and if you had done those things, first of all, there's no guarantee that your musical career would have been better.
True.
And you probably wouldn't even have me, and that would have been horrible for you.
And if you didn't know that, hear this.
Exactly. And this is something that we've just talked about recently. Do things because, like creative things, do them because you want to, not because you're expecting some payoff. And I think that's the biggest lesson.
Especially if you're in the arts.
Yeah, like first of all, very rare can you really make a living being in the arts. And I think the people that are the most successful are the ones that just do their thing, like Prince. I mean, Prince was Prince. He was doing his thing and that was it. And he was incredibly successful. There are other people that say, like, I'm going to do like him because that really worked. It doesn't work that way. You have to do what's you.
Yep.
Do you. You do you.
You do you. I like that phrase.
Yeah. So how do you make yourself comfortable with rejection? Because I'm sure you've gotten some rejection.
Oh, I have. Yeah, my wife every Friday.
Oh, that's the end of part 1. Part 2 is coming next week, so stay tuned. Where else can you hear scintillating conversations with interesting people with ties to New Jersey, except for here? You can't, and that's why you should subscribe and listen to every episode. I'm Lucille Osapio, and this is Not So Famous in New Jersey.